All right, everyone, the European Tour starts on the PDC. These are exciting tournaments. Really enjoy to watch them. I'm going to give you my predictions, and I also have a crazy bet to fire at you, and I'm using some data to prove it. So I'll go through some data, tell you my picks, and then give you what my bet is going to be. All right, here we go. European Tour 1, the International Darts Open. I believe it's in Riesa in Germany. Again, really excited. We only had two of these tournaments last year. Then went in the European Championship. For me, these are really great ones. I know the TV tournaments are great. Floor tournaments I do enjoy watching, but European Tour is that kind of in between. Now I get it. I'm in North America. I'll be watching on PDC TV. I pay the membership for it, but I enjoy watching these ones. I think they're fantastic. It's kind of more of an intimate crowd, and you get a chance to see some players that you don't typically get to see. There's some names here that I have no idea who they are, so it'll be good to see them play and go forward. What I'm going to do at the beginning is I'm actually going to use some data. So, by the way, I should mention Premier League, Gerwyn Price hitting 2 9-darters. That's insane. That is entertaining as hell. 2 9-darters in a night? Probably had a chance for a third one. Stunning averages, typically over 100. Really good night. So again, I took Michael Smith, so you pretty much knew that Gerwyn Price was going to dominate that game and just keep going, and that's what he did. So Premier League, I'm not doing too well, but I like what I'm going to do here tomorrow in terms of picks, and I've got a bet that I'm really excited about. But let me go through some of the stats. So I've compiled all the stats. I will take a look at. I'm using Dart Connect, which is fantastic. I'm using the PDC Live for the Premier League and Flash Score, which isn't the best, but it gives me the stats that I require. So I've compiled all the stats for the teams, and I'm just going to give you kind of the top 5 in some of the categories, and then what I put together as my predictions. So how you're playing. I know there's FDI, there's a Dart Aki that I've taken a look at, but what I've tried to do is compile all these different stats and then figure out does that line up with how people have been playing, so that I can get a general feel for how they're playing. And then I've got the 5 luckiest players, and I've got the 5 unluckiest players, meaning they got great stats, but they're not making any money, or you're making money but you're not doing well. And then I'm going to use that to make some bets, and I've got some really great bets I think for tomorrow. I'll let you know. So first of all, top 5 win percentage: Joe Cullen, Luke Humphries, Peter Wright, Damon Hedda, Daryl Gurney. Joe Cullen top of the list at 83.87% win percentage for the year. That's fantastic. All the way down to Gurney at 73.68. But Cullen, Humphries, Wright, Hedda, Gurney, those are the ones that are winning a lot. The worst ones for this, well, there's tons. There's tons of people that haven't won a game all year. So I'm not gonna give you top 5 because I'd have to go like the top 20 with 0 wins. So what the next time I look is legs percentage. So total amount of legs won. What's that percentage? So if I go to the top 5 there, in this order, your best one is Damon Hedda, 2nd Joe Cullen, 3 Luke Humphries, 4 Gerwyn Price, and I was kind of surprised with the 5th one, Kevin Dietz, who's done a lot of board finals around the 16s. So those are your top 5 in legs. Again, you're starting to see some differences there, but some names that obviously have been doing well. But your bottom 5, John Brown, worst. Boris Koltsov, very disappointing. Glenn Durrant, probably not surprised to see him there. Adam Hunt, a little bit surprised to see him doing so poorly this year. And you're going to start to see that in some of the other stats. And then Mickey Mansell, who actually is one of the more unlucky players compared to his stats, but in terms of leg percentage, he's not winning a lot of legs. And then I'm looking at the doubles. So this is an important stat. This is a stat that I'm going to carry forward into my ranking and prediction. Double, what do they say? Scoring for dough or putting for dough, I guess. Or I guess it'd be 180s for show, doubles for dough. That's the way to translate that. So your top 5 doubles hitters. A little bit surprising here. Now, again, I'm not taking people that only played one game. There's one person, Peter Bourgogne, who, by the way, is the 180 wizard right now per leg, but he only played one game. So I'm looking at, you at least played more than a couple games. You played in the PDC for a couple more games. The other one's Deswan. I didn't take Deswan. He was in the 180 hitting too, but he only played 2 games. So you've had to play more than a couple games for me to take a look at it. But doubles, Adam Gallas leading the charge at 46.75%. That's amazing. Adam Gallas. If you would have said, hey, Bill, who's the best doubles hitters on tour, I wouldn't have said Adam Gallas right now. but he is. Matters Rasma at number 2. Kevin Dietz again. This might explain why he's winning so many legs. His doubles percentage, he's 3rd. Gerwin Price at 4 and Damon Hedda at 5. Damon Hedda at 45.45%. The worst doubles hitters currently in the PDC right now. Now, this also includes people without a tour card as well, as long as you played more than 2 games. John Brown at just 17.2%. That sounds like I can do that. That ain't good. Boris Koltsov. Adam Hunt. Very, very low on the doubles percentage. That's not like him. I went back last year. He was in the 30s. He's in the 20s. Glenn Duran, again, not a surprise. And Kevin Burness, scoring well, doubles at 25%. That's just not good enough. So those are your bottom 5 in terms of doubles. Now I'm looking at 180s per leg. So, you know, who's the ones hitting the 180s? And does that really matter? And I found it doesn't really matter that much. It's more about the 140s and up, not 180s and up. But your best 180 hitter, Dave Chisno, well, no one's surprised by that. Luke Humphreys, Chris Dobie, but you'll see that Chris Dobie's nowhere on the 140 list. Gerwin Price and Joe Cullen. The worst 180 hitters, and it's just like, I should mention, so if you take a look at it, 20 players in the PDC are hitting at least 180 every 3 legs. That's pretty impressive. Or just a little bit over three legs, but that's 0.360 is Dave Chisno. That's pretty impressive. The bottom, these guys aren't hitting. They're hitting 3 out of every 100 legs. Boris Koltsov, the worst. Jeff Smith, number 2. Damian Mall, Jules Van Doggen, and John Michael are your worst 180 hitters. But again, 180s. There's a lot of players that hit a lot of 180s, but then when they go to 140s, they drop. Chris Dobie drops significantly when you go to the 140s. We'll take a look at the 140s per leg. The top, this is where you're starting to see some difference. I didn't see Boris Kirschmar in the 180 hitter, but if you take the 140s and 180s together per leg, Boris Kirschmar is your number 1 140 hitter. Not surprised with the second one, Peter Wright. Luke Humphreys, number 3. So you can see Humphreys is consistent throughout this board in the top, and that probably explains why he's had a great year so far. Steve West at 4th. And Neil Zonneveld at 5th. And if you take a look at Neil Zonneveld, he's had a pretty good year so far. I think you're going to start to explain that at the 140s that he's hitting per leg. Now, there's 22 players right now that hit at least a 140 per leg. They average at least more than 1 per leg, which is pretty impressive. So the bottom 5 for this, Jeff Smith leading it, 0.433. That means he hits a 140 once every 2 and a bit legs. Not good scoring. Boris Koltsov, Matters Rasma. I chalk Matters Rasma because he goes to the 19s a lot. He's probably got a lot of 134s, but I'm not able to get down to that level. But Matters Rasma, Stu Wilson, and Jimi Hendrix are your worst 140 hitters. There's 10 players right now that are hitting less than 140 for every, 1.8 legs. They average 0.6 140s per leg. 100 plus. So this is where I saw, well, okay, let me take a look at the consistent. How many 100 pluses are you hitting? But I'm starting to see some names in there that haven't done well this year, but they're not on the 140s. So they don't hit a lot of 140s, but they hit a lot of 100s. And that's not translating to success. And that's how I'm getting into my rankings here. But if you take a look at the 140s, the best hitters, Scott Mitchell is your best 150 hitter at 2.530 leg. Now, I think about that. I'm at 501. If I hit 2 180s and then a 141, that means I got 300s in a leg. That's perfect. But I can hit 5 100s in a leg. So I think that's where I'm looking at that 140. 140 in doubles is better than just 100s. Boris Kirschmar is number 2. Peter Wright's number 3. Neil Zonneveld number 4. And Richie Burnett. Richie Burnett hits a list. I wouldn't have expected that. He's in number 5. The worst 100s per leg. Now, I should mention here, there's 27 players that are above 2.2 100s a leg. So they're averaging at least, or they're more than 2.2 per leg of hitting a score of over 100. The worst, Boris Koltsov, I don't think anyone's surprised by that. Again, John Brown, we've seen him at the bottom of the list. Second, William Borland, the 9-darter hero when it comes to less than 100 a leg. William Borland, is third worst. Christoph Kachuk is your 4th worst. And Tony Martinez is your 5th worst. Now, what I've done is said, let's take a look at this. And I'm going to say, I'm trying to do some predictions here. So what are these stats can I use to predict future? And that's really where this is going. Now, granted, I wish I had these nice little editing things where I could put up this stuff and talk. Unfortunately, I'll get there. I'm going to get my daughter to help me out here. She's the wizard when it comes to this stuff. I'm struggling. I've got a camera. I've got a phone. I'm still waiting for my bloody vlogging kit to give me a proper remote control so I can actually set that up. But I'm in waiting process. I'm just going to go through it again. I'm hoping I can show some stats here. I'm also using statistical stuff like Minitab. Things that I have, but I can't share that with you. Hopefully at some point I can. Anyways, what I've decided to do is I took a look at all the stats, and the best predictor is what I'm taking is the rank of your doubles. So how good are you hitting doubles? The lower the number, the better you are at hitting doubles. So I'm ranking you 1. So the best doubles hitter gets a rank of 1. The worst double hitter gets a rank of, I think it's 138 total players that have played. And then you get into 140s. So the same thing applies. I'm ranking you as the best 140 hitter gets a 1, or 140 plus. That includes 140s and 180s per leg, down to your worst, which is the least amount. And then I'm adding those rankings together. So I'm adding the doubles rankings to your 140 plus ranking, and then re-rating it again. So the lower the score, the higher the rank, or the better the rank. So you want to have a low score. It's kind of like the way they do hockey, where you power play and your penalty kill, and you add them up, and then, you know, if you're first on penalty kill and fifth in power play, then you're add up to 6. So doing the exact same thing. And when I do that, here's the top 10. Top 10, Luke Humphries, number 1. Gerwin Price, number 2. Damon Hedden, number 3. Peter Wright, number 4. Daryl Gurney, number 5. Stephen Bunting, number 6. And he's had a good year, and I'm going to maybe use that a little bit later on. He's playing well. 7, Boris Kirschmar. 8, Jose De Souza. 9, Johnny Clayton. 10, Dave Chisholm. That should not shock us. If I take those odds, those are players that are playing really, really well this year. Now, let me look at the bottom 10. So I'm going to rank it. So the higher the number, we're going to take a look at that. Bottom, Boris Koltsov, the worst. Glenn Durant, second worst. John Brown, third worst. John Michael, fourth worst. William Borland, fifth worst. Brandon Dolan, sixth worst. We're going to talk about that probably on Saturday when he comes into the International Darts Open, but I'll hold it back. 7th, Jake Jones. 8th worst, Sean Wilkinson. 9th worst, Damian Mull. And 10th worst, Stu Wilson. Now, I want to make sure that those are the worst that I see stats-wise with doubles and 140s, and does that translate into win percentage? Boy, does it ever. If I add up those 10 players' records, they are 5-41. Kind of like where I'm going on this one. If that's the record and I'm doing this... Now, if I do 100s, I don't get that same record. So I'm really locking in on this 140s plus. I don't think hitting 100s is any good anymore. It's how many 140s can you hit per leg. You hit 2 140s a leg, you're already at 221 after 6 darts. You're going to get a 15 dart leg. If you got a good... and you're hitting doubles above 40% or 40, typically you're going to be finishing off in 15, which is 100 average. Makes sense to me. You could get 5 100s and still not finish off the leg. Well, I guess you can't. You'd have 4 and then a 99, and you still haven't finished off the leg. So I'm not giving credit for the 100s. I'm looking at the 140s. Now, that's the stats. I think they add up. So then I took a look at, okay, what's your dollar ranking? How do you rank in total ranked dollars? So not Masters, total ranked dollars. Not that the Masters doesn't count or the Premier League doesn't count, but that doesn't include all the players. So I want to make sure I'm giving it fair. I'm taking a look at the ranked dollars. So UK Open will count. The European Tour is going to count. And I'm going to create your ranked dollars versus what your stats say. So by definition, if you're 21st on stats, you should be 21st on ranking or money rankings. And there's a couple of players that line up perfectly. Cameron Menzies, bang on. Stats and rankings, bang on. There's about 32 or 25% of the players using this ranking that fall between 0 and or -5 and +5 difference. It's a pretty good place here. So now I'm going to take a look at the least lucky players, which means their stats are good. They're not doing well in ranking. They're typically probably running up against a player playing a really great game, or they're running up against a really top seed when it comes to draws. So the top 5 unlucky players. Number 1. This is shocking. Devin Peterson. Devin Peterson's stats, he is -77 on his ranked money versus his stats. That's insane. So Devin Peterson, the least lucky. And if you look at his stats, he's playing well. This could translate into some money. That's what I'm looking at, these unlucky players. They get a good draw, but because they don't have a lot of money, the bets should be nice for that. So I'm going to be taking a look at that. Mickey Mansell, number 2, and least lucky players. Josh Rock, who I believe won on the development tour, so that makes sense. He's the third unluckiest player. Jim Williams, number 4. Number 5, Michael Smith. Great stats, but the players that are playing against them are just, they're doing the number on him. Now, granted, he does play in the Premier League, so that might skew this a little bit, because I'm not money-wise, but I'm keeping the stats even going with that. So, but Michael Smith, 5th unluckiest player. Now, let's take a look at the luckiest players, which means their ranking is way higher than their stats. Now, number 1, this is crazy to me. I'm going to share with you the number here. Give me 1 second. It nearly knocked my socks off when I saw it. The luckiest player is Stephen Burton. Now, granted, Stephen Burton, he's played 7 games, but Stephen Burton is 60. So he's ranked, or his ranking is 60 above where his dollar value is in ranked money. So Stephen Burton is the luckiest player on the tour. Second one, Lee Evans. Not a tour car holder, had a lot of big deep runs, but players are playing, so this is where players are playing bad against him. Now, Stephen Burton beat Michael Van Gerwen, so that tells you Michael Van Gerwen didn't play well. He played horrible to lose to him. Number 3, Luke Woodhouse. Keep that in mind for today. I'll explain that in just a second. Keegan Brown, 4th for luckiest player, and the 5th luckiest player. We'll keep this in mind tomorrow as well, for tomorrow's games as well. Gabriel Clemens. Gabriel Clemens is shocking. If you take a look at his stats, he's 114th when it comes to 140s plus doubles. 114th out of what, 130-something odd players have played. This is crazy. Luke Woodhouse, let me remember his number. I think it's 118. Sorry, Luke Woodhouse is 119th ranked. This is just a terrible start to a year. This is 140s plus doubles, yet he's doing well in the money. Well, he's at least, no, he's not doing well in the money, but he's at least, I think he's 57th in ranked money this year, but he's 119 in the stats. 62 difference. That is crazy. Okay, let's get into the picks today. So I've gone through the stats. Now what I want to do, Bill, you spent all this time collecting these stats. What the hell are you going to do with them? I'm going to put it into betting. And so let's get into the tournament. I'm going to go through my picks for the first round. The first round is typically you've got the qualifiers plus you don't have any of the ranked players. Now it's interesting, like Devin Peterson is ranked 9th in this tournament. The seeds go to your Pro Tour ranking, not the total PDC ranking. So there's some players like Dave Chisnell and Dimitri Vandenberg playing in the first round. They're ranked in the top 16. However, they're not ranked top 16 on the Pro Tour order of merit, which is your ranked tournaments, your floor tournaments. And I believe it also includes your European tournaments as well. Now, there's something in the seeding here that I'm going to have to worry about too on the European Tour. If a seed goes into the second round and they lose, they get the money, but that doesn't count against their seed. So that'll cause me to put another program in Minitab in Excel and calculate that. But I'll worry about that come Sunday when I calculate the stats. But let's go through the picks tomorrow. First game up is Brian Raman, new tour card holder, against David Schlichting. I'm hoping it's probably not even close. I have no idea who that person is. Not a clue. I know what Brian Raman is. I don't think he's a very great player. His stats aren't that great this year. But I have no idea who David Schlichting is. So I'm going to take Brian Raman to win this one 6-2. Next game up, Jermaine Wadamita against Nico Springer. Know both of these players. Nico Springer's not a bad player. I think this is going to be a close game. If I take a look at Jermaine Wadamita, he's 90th on the tour stats. I saw what Nico Springer was throwing today. He was throwing mid-80s. He had a 90, but most of it was mid-80 average. I like Jermaine Wadamita to win this one. It's an important game for Jermaine Wadamita. This is ranking money, and he's been following. So I like him to win this one 6-4. Next game up, Matters Razma against Wayne Jones. Now, it's interesting. Wayne Jones doesn't have a card anymore, but if everyone remembers, he actually qualified last year for ET03, and because there wasn't an ET3 or a European Tour 3 event, they just swung it into ET1. So Wayne Jones doesn't have a card. It'd be interesting if he goes and wins it and gets 25,000 ranking money and he doesn't have a card, but do that a couple times, he might be back on the tour. But Again, I don't expect that. Matters Razma, solid doubles percentage. Again, 63rd overall because his 140 hitting is not the greatest. But again, he has a lot of 134s. That's something you got to take into account, which I don't have. They should have the 134 because that means you missed triple 20 and you went down to 19, or your 133s, right? That's just still, to me, that should be a 140 score. They're just not separated out that way in terms of stats. So maybe that's something I can request going forward on Darts Connect because I don't want to go through each individual score and do it myself. But I like Matters Razma to win this one. He will be part of my bet, but I'm going to pick him to beat Wayne Jones 6-3. Next game up, Daryl Gurney against Fabian Schmutzer, who I believe is a 16-year-old young player who played in the World Championship. Again, I just went through Gurney's stats. They're fantastic this year. Gurney is just, to me, he's due. I like him to win this one pretty easily. He'll be part of my bet as well, and he'll win this one 6-3. Next game up, Adam Gallus against Vincent van der Voort. So this is where I would go to the school of, you know what? I'm going Vincent van der Voort until I look at the stats, and Gallus is actually doing better. So if I look at Vincent van der Voort, he's 58th overall. And then Adam Gallus is 26th overall in terms of stats. So I'm going to use that. Now, I'm not going to bet on this game. Maybe I'm not so confident in my game so far, but I'm taking Adam Gallus to win this one 6-4. Next one up, this is on my bet, and it's got great odds. Andy Bolton against Luke Woodhouse. Andy Bolton is 49th overall in stats against a 116 in stats. Luke Woodhouse. Again, things can change on a day. I get all that stuff, but I'm getting better odds for Andy Bolton over Luke Woodhouse. I'll take it. Andy Bolton will win 6-4. Next game up, I kind of went a little bit off here. Keen Berry against Ron Muhlenkamp. They're pretty close in stats. And now Ron Muhlenkamp actually had a horrible first two PDC tournaments and then had a nice run last week. Keen Berry's been pretty consistent. Didn't have the greatest development tour for my liking. I expected him to be winning a lot more than, or, you know, getting, at least winning one of them for sure. But I just think Keen Berry's the better player. I'm going to take Keen Berry to win this one 6-4, and I'm going to add him to my odds, or into my bet. I do like his odds, so that's the reason why I want to increase the odds. I like Keen Berry to win this one. Next game up, Ryan Searle against Richie Edhouse. A lot of people say this is a walk for Ryan Searle. I don't think it's a walk. If I take a look at the stats, Edhouse has very good stats. He's 42nd overall, where Searle is 14th. But I'm still going to take Searle to win. I just think it'll be a close game. I think Searle to win this one 6-5. Going to the night session or afternoon session in North America. First game up, Louis Williams against Dennis Nielsen. Know both players. Dennis Nielsen is a big guy who I've never seen throw really good darts. Louis Williams I saw throw fantastic darts, and then I saw what he threw in the World Championship, so I'm not betting on this game at all. But I like Louis Williams to win this one 6-3. Next game up, Mervyn King against Janos Vegzo. I think I said that, Janos Vegzo. I have no idea who Janos Vegzo is. Mervyn King is 109th in stats this year. That's bad. That's not where you expect Mervyn King to be. I would expect him to be in the top 50. Worst case scenario. He's usually a great double 16 hitter and hits a lot of big scores. Not happening this year, but I can't see him losing to Janos Vegzo. So I'm going to take Mervyn King. He'll be part of my parlay as well. 6-2. Next game up, Kim Huybrechts against Florian Hempel. Let's look at the stats. Kim Huybrechts 55th overall. Florian Hempel 114th overall, or 111th. Which one is it? Maybe make sure on that before I start yipping and yapping. 111th overall in stats. So I like Huybrechts to win this game. I'm not going to bet on it. You're in a German crowd. I know how Huybrechts reacts. How Huybrechts starts screaming at a person's wife last week or 2 weekends ago. What the hell's he doing? I don't know. A girl told you to F off. You know, if I got upset and tweeted every time someone told me to F off, get a lot of tweets out there. I just happen to have like a, I don't know what it is, maybe a maturity level. You're a dart player. You're a professional dart player. You don't bitch about a person's wife. That's sad, man. I don't care what the person did to you. You tweet it? What are you, a 10-year-old girl, bud? That's disgusting. Why don't you go to Peter Wright and talk to him about it? No, you go on Twitter and tweet it? Like, that's Adrian Lewis maturity level, bud. That's disgusting. That's why I don't like Huybrechts. Guy's got a maturity level of friggin', I imagine you sat down with him and had a conversation. It would be the most whiniest conversation ever. But his stats are better than Florian Hempel, so I'm going to take him to win 6-4. Next game, too bad he doesn't play Peter Wright in the second round. That would have been nice. Next game up, Dimitri Vandenberg against Martin Lukeman. This should be a walk in the park, and I'm taking Dimitri Vandenberg as part of my bets. He's 24th in stats. Martin Lukeman, 48th. Not bad. That's shocking. 48th in stats when you look at 140s and doubles. But I like Vandenberg to win this one 6-2. Next game up, Rob Cross against Krzysztof Kachuk. Again, this is a big difference in stats. I like Rob Cross, and I'm going to take him as part of my parlay. Win this one 6-4, probably a little closer. Next game up, this has got some good odds if you want him. Nico Cruz, who I do know, a very straight thrower. I know he's had some time where he hasn't had a lot of time to play, against Gabriel Clemens. Gabriel Clemens is 114th in stats. 2 Germans playing. Now, Clemens got him in the World Championship a couple years ago, but if you want an upset and you want some odds, this might be your game. If you want this game, now I'm not going to take it personally, but I'm going to take a look at this right now. You can get plus 137 for Nico Kurtz. That's not that great considering he's not even a tour card holder. That's how bad Gabriel Clemens has been playing. You can get the plus 137. I think he's going to win. So I'm going to take Nico Cruz to win this one 6-4. Next game up, Simon Whitlock against Dragovan Horvat. I like Dragovan Horvat. He's usually a pretty consistent player. I always look for him to get on the tour. He never does. And Whitlock is just Whitlock. Again, Dragovan Horvat gets plus 350. It's not bad odds. He's got a chance here. I'm not going to pick him. I'm going to take Whitlock. Whitlock 60th overall in terms of stats that I've calculated, but I'm going to take Simon Whitlock to win this one 6-4. I think it'll be a lot closer. And the last game up again, and the one that if you want to take a run, Danny Von Tripp plus 220 against the Canadian Jeff Smith. Again, Jeff Smith, I told you about his scoring. He's horrible, but his actually overall ranking is 91. He's good on the doubles. So, again, Danny Von Tripp, I've seen him play before, usually pretty mediocre from what I've seen. Jeff Smith's been mediocre this year. I think it'll be a close game. I'm Canadian. Got to take the Canadian Jeff Smith 6-5. So those are my picks. Again, I will come on after and give the picks for Saturday where there'll be 16 games. And again, that's why I love the European Tour. You get 16 games on Friday, 16 games on Saturday, and then you end up getting like 15 games. You get 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1 was that? I can't even do math. 15 games. So it's a full weekend of darts. It's fantastic. And I get to get up early in the morning for everyone else's, and I get to watch a lot of darts. So it doesn't really get in front of your day, and you still get to have a night. And unfortunately, I'll probably have to watch the Leafs on Saturday night, but I'll be full of darts before I do that. So again, now let me get into the bet. So my bet right now is I've taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 7-team parlay. Imagine that, 7-team parlay. What am I thinking? So I'm taking Rob Cross over Krzysztof Kachuk, Mervyn King over Janos Vegso, Andy Bolton over Luke Humphries, based on my stats and based on my data. That seems like a good bet. Matters Razma to beat Wayne Jones, Dimitri Vandenberg to beat Martin Lukeman, Keane Barry to beat Ron Meulenkamp. That's the one I'm most worried about. I just, without that, I don't get the greatest odds, so I don't want to pull that off. I like it, but that's the one I'm worried about. And then Daryl Gurney over Fabian Schmutzer. Add that all up, I have got 8 times my money that I bet if those 7 players come through. So Rob Cross, Mervyn King, Andy Bolton, Matters Razma, Dimitri Vandenberg, Keane Barry, and Daryl Gurney all win. You're looking at a person with a big smile on his face and might be able to afford some gas, because I'm going to guess after the actions today it's going to go up. Hope everyone enjoys the darts. I'll do a video for Saturday predictions late tomorrow. Cheers.